Hello, thank you everyone for joining us here at the Politico CNN Grill in the Windy City, really living up to its name today with this beautiful weather. I'm joined on stage here with John Banner, Executive Vice President and Chief Global Impact Officer at McDonald's. Hello, John.
Callie, thanks for having me.
And we're on your home turf here today.
Hometown, yep.
How does it feel to be here, see all this around you?
It's nice, you know. Ray Kroc was the one who first set up the first restaurant and inevitably set up Chicago as our headquarters, and it's been history ever since.
Oh, that's great. Well, so John leads the company's efforts to effect purposeful change through the Ronald McDonald House Charities and its global impact team, which encompasses the company's sustainability communications and international corporate relations functions. So today we're going to talk about the state of small businesses in the U.S. and their role in powering the U.S. economy, the economic health of American consumers, long-term sustainability, resiliency goals, and a lot more. So John, let's get started with small businesses, which are an economic engine for the United States. Now, McDonald's and its impact is anything but small. But because of the franchise operation model that helps power local restaurants, 95% of the chain's 14,000 U.S. McDonald's restaurants are, yes, actually run by small business owners. So John, how does that model work? How does the franchise model empower local communities?
Yeah, McDonald's operates as a franchise brand, which means we have in the U.S. 2,000 independent small business owners running 95% of those 14,000 restaurants. And they collectively employ about 800,000 individuals. So it's a big responsibility, and as a franchisee, they get to partner, they get to go into business for themselves, but they get to partner with a big global brand and all the benefits that that provides. So I think it's a really good model that provides a number of benefits. First of all, the owner-operators know their communities better than anyone else. They invest in hiring and training and upskilling their workforce, and they invest in their local communities through through partnerships with high schools and school systems, because they know what their communities need best. We also happen to, when you look at what that extends to, all the people they employ, it's 1 in 8 Americans have worked at McDonald's at some point in their career. And I think it shows about how we have world-class training and upskilling operations, that those 1 in 8 people actually benefit from their relationships with the owner-operators to have successful, actually skill-building time, whether they're a short-term employee or they decide to spend their career at McDonald's.
So according to census data, less than 1/5 of U.S. small business owners are from diverse backgrounds. But a higher proportion, 1/3 of McDonald's franchise owners come from diverse backgrounds. And I understand that McDonald's is committed to growing that number. So what is McDonald's doing to help empower future owners that may face socioeconomic barriers?
Yeah, we have a long history of investing in small businesses from business owners from all different backgrounds. In fact, the first African-American franchisee restaurant was right here in Chicago. Mr. Herman Petty was the first black franchisee owner, operator for McDonald's. But we basically, and we've set up some different initiatives to help ensure that those people who have socioeconomic challenges can actually take part in our franchise system. So since 2021, we've invested or committed $250 million over the next 5 years to ensure that people who come from socioeconomic challenges can actually set up restaurants and live the American dream. I would say the other thing we're focused on is we believe that there's a strong connection between crew and eventually franchise ownership. That pipeline is incredibly strong in the U.S., where 1 in 5 of our franchisees in the U.S. started off as a crew member in a McDonald's restaurant. So there's a lot we're doing to try to empower people from all different backgrounds. That includes a big effort to help upskill and help youth find great employment. Since 2018, more than 2 million youth have been assisted by our program. Many of those people have been hired into McDonald's or have gotten jobs somewhere else. So we're really, one of our values is inclusivity, and obviously that means we open our doors to everyone in terms of our customers, but it's also about the people who work in our restaurants and the people who own our restaurants.
the franchise model has been a key piece of success for small business owners and for local communities, but there are some that might say that policymakers have lost sight of the model's importance at the local, state, and federal level. Where do you think that misunderstanding comes from? Why is it critical to protect franchises and this particular business model?
Yeah, I would think some of the proof points and things I've just said play to that, but I think indeed the franchise model as a whole, not just for McDonald's, but more broadly than McDonald's, has been under attack by different parts of state and local and federal governments this year. And I think what they fail to understand is the connection between their own main streets and the brand or the franchise businesses. And what I mean by that is our brand is not only helping to support the local franchisees and they're supporting their communities, but also the work we do with our suppliers. A lot of them are from diverse backgrounds. As I said, we have suppliers who are supplying all of our restaurants who are generating additional jobs in those communities, and the franchisees are the ones who are paying the bill. So they're actually paying a lot of the money to the suppliers to actually support the suppliers' business. So there's an economic multiplier for every McDonald's in every community in terms of the impact that they have both on their community directly and on the outer, sort of beyond their community in the suppliers in neighboring communities or in their state. So I think the difference is that there seems to be a misunderstanding of what value a franchise business model provides to local, state, and national economies. And I think when you look at the scale of our individually owned franchise businesses, the impact is tremendous. And I think they don't quite understand the connection between what our business provides and what our franchisees provide to their local communities versus looking at the big sort of national or international brand.
Let's shift gears for just a moment and talk about sustainability. So as the leader of McDonald's Global Impact Team, you're working to achieve climate and circularity goals across the McDonald's system and down the supply chain. What initiatives are you focused on right now? What are the long-term impacts of the goals that you're setting?
Yeah, I would take a step back just to say that when you look at our menu, in essence, our menu depends on a healthy planet, whether that's the potatoes that we grow for our fries, or suppliers, the beef that comes in our hamburgers, or any part of the menu really comes from agriculture. So as you've seen the threatening sort of warming of the earth and also more severe and more frequent severe weather, I think you have a potential where we need to do our part to try to mitigate those outcomes. And so whether we're one of the first global restaurant brand to set a net zero target for 2050, we've worked to revise our targets for 2030. I think what we have to do, as most big multinationals companies have to do, is look to decouple their growth from their climate and their greenhouse gas emissions. And that decoupling is something that gets increasingly difficult to do as the use of electricity gets more challenged from AI models using more electricity. But that's what we're focused on, is how do we try to really look at those as two different targets, right? We want to grow our business, but we also don't want to increase our greenhouse gas emissions. And I think we actually are publishing our yearly purpose and impact report later this month. And I think you'll see whether we're managing to decouple our business growth from our greenhouse gas emissions.
So as Americans head to the polls in November, the economy is going to be on just about everyone's mind. So understanding that McDonald's has always been known for affordability, talk a little bit about what types of pressures your franchisees and suppliers are experiencing in the wake of today's heightened economic concerns.
Yeah, I go back to sort of the very first days of the business when they talked about QSC&V, which was quality, service, cleanliness, and value, which has always been really core to who we are as a brand. And I think people have to know that our franchisees, our suppliers, and the company are solely committed to providing affordable, valuable meals at every day part. I think what we've seen over the past 5 years is a tremendous increase in the cost of doing business. Our food and paper and labor costs have gone up about 40% over the past 5 years. And similarly, in order to try to contain costs and have our restaurants continue to operate, our prices have gone up roughly 40%. I think you've seen some social media posts of sort of high prices in one particular location. Those are the exception, not the rule. I think where you've seen that the majority, almost all of the franchisees are working hard to ensure that our prices are affordable and that people can find that affordable meal. I think as we've been listening to consumers more recently, this summer we started a $5 meal program, and that will continue through the summer. And I think it's the beginning of a stronger effort to ensure that we're able to provide value to people no matter when they want the brand or when they want our food, and obviously to try to, as inflation is coming down, hopefully that creates some relief.
So it's wild to think that we're just 75 days out from the election. We're here at the DNC. Everyone's thinking about 2025 and beyond after the election. And as we've discussed, McDonald's has a large, unique footprint across communities and small businesses in the U.S. So to close us out, John, what should be top of mind for policymakers to help small businesses and local communities flourish?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think two or three things. One, clearly the franchise model has to be protected and enhanced. I mean, small business owners by the way we've set up the franchise system and other franchise businesses as well, that we're able to create enormous generational wealth for our owner-operators. And if we start to see basically challenges to the franchise model, that limits our ability and the ability for franchise owners to create that generational wealth. So one, first of all, protect the franchise business model and ensure that it can continue to thrive going forward. The second thing is, a lot of businesses will face a tax cliff next year. All the taxes that were instituted in the last administration basically expire next year. This is especially sort of impactful for small businesses, including all of our owner-operators. And I think it's important that as conversations over the tax code next year, that we keep in mind how powerful the small business owners, both the McDonald's in your community, but also all the other small businesses, are the engine that drives the economy and drives employment. And if we don't do enough to protect those tax breaks for small businesses, it will eat into future investment plans and future hiring. And I think that's something that's top of mind as well. So I think those two things would be our primary sort of, if we had a wish list for the next administration of what they would listen to and hopefully take to heart.
That's great. John, that's unfortunately all the time we have today, so we're going to have to leave it there. But thank you for being with us. Thank you for hosting us in your hometown as well, and for sharing your unique vantage point on these critical issues.
Can I have one personal moment? If you don't get a chance, go to the Global McDonald's in our headquarters in the basement while you're here, the lobby of our building. It's the only menu in the country where you can get a selection of items from around the world. And it changes every quarter. And of course, that business also happens to be franchised. So pay a visit. It's on Randolph, the big street going down towards middle of town.
I can confirm it's good, having eaten there as well. So a big
thank you, Callie.
Of course, a big thank you to McDonald's for your partnership today. This event would not have been possible without you. And to those of you here in the room, please stick around because up next is Governor Hochul. Thank you so much.